Okay, I'm guessing that we're live already. Is it showing? Hello? I guess it's not working? Is it working? Okay. It's black. Okay. I guess I will just do this. This is working. Yeah, okay, I got it. Got it. Can I just skip this? Okay. All right. Chapter 1. So the train made its way along the gentle curve of the coast of Japan, whisking me farther and farther from home. Across from me sat a boy, face half buried in a newspaper. He was deeply entranced in whatever article he was reading and hadn't spoken a single word to me, even when I asked if I could join him in the last compartment with any available space. He shrugged, nodded, and adjusted his newspaper without ever making eye contact. It'd be almost an hour, in fact, and he hadn't once looked at me. Devoid of conversation, I took instead to counting the buttons on the pretentiously lush carmine seat cushion. 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, and so forth over and over. Now and again, I turned to look out the window where the trees were blurring by. Sometimes the smeared green would break and reveal the quiet blue of the Sea of Japan. Eventually, this rapidly made my stomach churn, and I went back to counting the buttons on the seat cushions. 1, 2, 3. The train compartment shuddered around us. My eyes wandered to the boy in his jacket. It wasn't the school-issued blue that I and the other students on the train were wearing. Instead, it was a green varsity-looking jacket with an embroidered patch poorly sewn on front. So, you're a first year, then? He folded his newspapers neatly, set it in his lap, and looked at me with a half-interested gaze. Did he just catch me staring? Now that the paper was gone, I saw his face. He watched me through the heavy-lidded eyes. His hair was immaculately groomed, his teeth straight and blindingly bright. There was something about him, the way the light hit him, that made him look like he was almost sparkling. Me? He glanced around the compartment, empty beside us, and laughed. Oh, no, I'm not a first year, I'm a third year. The train began to slow down, metal wheels groaning against the metal tracks. The sudden shift threatened to rob me of whatever was left in my stomach, but I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, willing myself to keep it together. What kind of impression would I leave puking on a student before I even arrived at the academy? The boy frowned. I picked at the hem of my cotton shirt. That's not possible. I've never seen you before. It took me a moment of mouth fishing to make a response. It's because I'm a transfer student. He laughed again. A transfer student? Huh? A transfer student, huh? We don't get many of those. I removed my acceptance letter from the front pocket of my uniform. The paper, heavyweight, off-white, had accumulated creases from my reading and rereading, as if the words might have changed since the last time I read it. The boy took it, studied it, then handed it back to me. Well then, Hannah, I suppose I'll be seeing you around. He smiled at me as he picked up the suitcase lying next to him. By the time I hiccuped a response, he was already gone from the compartment. I stared out into the empty hallway of the train. It was then that I realized he, having gotten it from my acceptance letter, knew my name and I never got his. The train settled at the station and I filed out with the rest of the uniformed students. It was early April and the last frost of winter had come and gone. The trees were already green, their leaves shivering in the occasional gust weaving through them. The air was mild, only a few clouds hanging in the sky. I walked along the road and swore with the swarm of blue-jacketed boys, looking at the little groups breaking off from the crowd. Everyone was buzzing so animatedly around me. I held my suitcase tight in my sweaty hands. It was leather-bound and worth more than anything it contained. It wasn't far to the school, and I was, for maybe the first time in my life, thankful that what I owned didn't amount to much. My school issued black Oxfords. Click, click, clicked on the pavement. I walked this walk over and over in my mind. So many nights I lay awake imagining what it would be like to walk from the train station to Asagao Academy this first time. My new start. I always imagined that everything would change for me on this walk. That somehow everything would be magnificently different. But as I looked around, I realized nothing had changed. I hadn't changed. Oof. By the time I reached the massive gate of the academy, I forgot all about that disappointment slouching in the back of my throat. The school, framed by the gates, twisting black metal, was just beautiful as the glossy photo I saw in its pamphlets. This was it. Asagao Academy. I glanced around. The swarm of students gathered around the gate. Beyond it, tiny blue people bounced around the academy's main building. A girl pressed a button to the one side of the gate. The excitement in the air was almost palpable. Sorry. A few moments later, the black gate, with great effort, creaked outwards and cleared the pathway. As the rest of the group shifted into motion, I followed along, a sheep in the herd. My stomach tied itself in knots. The crowd split off in different directions. For a moment, I panicked. A tired-looking man with grayish hair called out for the first years. A cluster of fresh-faced students gathered around him. Hey, look at that girl. I turned. A few feet away, a small group of boys were pointing at me and snickering. Pink hair, are you kidding me? How desperate can you get? Hot shame crawled down my neck. I attracted myself to a group of girls following a few steps behind them. In the distance, cicadas hummed in time to my shoes crunching against the gravel. My hair? It wasn't my fault that my hair looked like this. Luckily, I found myself at the girls' dormitory, a large sign in the lawn reading Primrose House. The building dwarfed me in size and sheer intimidation. How many students did Asagao have? As I approached the building, a red-headed girl lingering nearby caught my attention. I looked away, then looked back. She was staring at me. She walked over. You must be my roommate. I eyed her warily. She was smiling and bouncing in a way that suggested her views on life were akin to a perpetually bouncy castle. Me? Of course, you silly. Let me guess, room 325? I thought back to the paper I received a month prior with a list of all the supplies I needed for the year and my dorm arrangements. Yeah, that's right. She laughed, but I couldn't figure out what was so funny. She was laughing at me. Was she laughing at me? Sorry. When I found out my roommate was a transfer student, I knew you were going to be a total main character. I'm sorry. A what? When I saw you outside the gate, I knew it was you. I mean, look at that hair. I felt a lump forming in my throat. What was she talking about? She had to be making fun of me. I hadn't spent more than 5 minutes on campus, and I was already being mocked. My hands began to tremble. Is there something wrong with my hair? Her face slanked from its amused smile to a more worried expression. Then she began to laugh again. No, it's great. I'm sorry. We're getting off on the wrong foot, aren't we? Sorry, there's actually dialogue here. I'm Mai Sasaki. You must be Hana. I bowed my head. It's nice to meet you, Mai. All your school books are waiting in our room with your welcome letter, and I read the envelope. I hope you're not mad. Mai started walking towards the front doors. I followed behind like a lost puppy. Did you check at the front door already? No, I didn't. I didn't know I was supposed to. Good. They'll offer to have a staff member give you a tour of the campus, but I can show you around. We don't get many transfer students in year 3, you know. Oh, is that your only bag? Just the one? I'm glad I brought an extra bag of stuff to decorate our room with. I started already. I hope you don't mind. But I did wait to string the lights. I thought we could do it together, you know? She spoke quickly, the words bubbling in her mouth, and left me no time to answer until the end of her monologue. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. She held the front door open for me, and I hurried inside. Girls filed up and down the hallway, howling, greeting, and exchanging vague necessities that were more often than not. How's your break? And look how tan you got. It seemed like everyone knew each other. I followed Mai as she led me through the maze of students and up to 2 flights of stairs. Each dorm floor looked the same as the last, narrow, white doors lining both sides of the pale pink walls. Thin, gold numbers were tacked to the front of each of them, the numbers rising as we climbed. You're not missing anything with the campus tour, I promise. Mr. Saitomo does them every year, and he's, like, totally dull. He just drags you around the entire campus and talks in that weird squeaky voice of his. I'll tell you everything you need to know. I smiled, trying to let this calm my nerves. Thanks. We headed down the hallway on the 3rd floor. Mai stopped us in front of a door number 325. Here we are. A faint smell of potpourri wafted through the room. The walls, like the hallways, were a soft powdery pink. Mai already defaced them with a tapestry of posters, magazine cutouts, and photographs. Some of the photos were of cats, but most were of male models and rugged musicians. A bunk bed, 2 writing desks with wooden chairs, a small dresser, and a mirrored vanity, all clearly provided by the school, were the only pieces of furniture in the tiny room. The top bunk was already covered in neatly tucked blankets and throw pillows of clashing patterns and colors. The bottom bunk had a single, stiff-looking pillow and a thin cotton blanket that I didn't need to touch to know was horribly itchy. I must have grimaced because Mai quickly smiled at me. I bought way too many pillows and blankets. I always overpack. I went to Italy over the break and Mom got really mad at me because I brought 5 bags, but we were only there for a week. She laughed, pulled several blankets and pillows from her bunk, and rearranged them neatly on mine. A sudden twinge of guilt and embarrassment hit me. There, that's much better. Thanks, Mai. I placed my suitcase on the bottom bunk and began to unpack its contents. Several changes of clothes, pens and pencils, empty notebooks, a few photographs of my father, a dilapidated stuffed rabbit, an old portable radio, and a small black box. Mai opened the curtains and the sunlight poured in. So, where are you from? I slid the now empty suitcase under the bottom bunk. About 2 hours north of here. It's a small town called Ameririsu. You probably haven't heard of it. Sorry if I butchered that name. I wonder if that's an actual Elfenstein. I'm gonna lose my voice by the end of this. I set the stuffed rabbit, Mr. Bunny, on my bed beside a purple and teal throw pillow. Oh, did you go to a different boarding school or... No, I went to a public school down the street from my house. Public school? What was it like? Were the students mean? Did you have a lot of friends? I always went to private schools. My parents work a lot, and my dad goes overseas, so I think they stuck me here for convenience. Oh, hey, what's that? I'd removed an ornately patterned origami crane from the black box and was setting it on the unacclaimed writing desk. Oh, this? My mom made it for me a long time ago. I set it beside a stack of thick textbooks, which I assumed were provided for me. Wow, it's so pretty. I've never seen paper like that before. Oh yeah, the lights. Let me get them. May went to her desk, opened the drawer, and pulled out a long tangled string of fairy lights. I thought these would look nice here. I thought they would look nice. Here, help me string them up. She grabbed a container of pushpins and pulled her wooden desk chair out and over to one wall. I did the same with my own. Together we pinned the lights around the perimeter of the room. How was the train right over here? Did you meet anyone? No, not really. It was in a compartment with some guy and... Some guy, huh? Was he cute? Oh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't even get his name. Mai seemed disappointed for a moment, then perked back up. You'll have to point him out for me if you see him again. Okay. Once we finished stringing the lights, Mai climbed down from her chair and brushed her hands together triumphantly. Done! Okay, now it's time for lunch. The food here is pretty good. There's this ramen place down the street from campus that's like out of this world, but the school only lets us leave campus on the weekends. Mai walked to the window. We could go today because it's Sunday and it's pretty nice out, but I guess you might want to go to the caf since you just got here. We could... She was suddenly interrupted by her own enthusiastic laughter. Oh my gosh, Mimi Santos totally just tripped outside and fell on her face. I saw it. Oh, is it mean to laugh? Maybe I shouldn't have. Oh well. Anyways, let's go eat. I'm totally starved. She led me out of the room before I even had the chance to respond. The cafeteria was buzzing with students, excited for the new year. The only person as nervous looking as I felt were the tables of skittish, wide-eyed first years. I stepped into line behind Mai, taking an empty plastic tray. We shuffled through, asking for helpings from the sulky cafeteria workers when we passed something that looked good. With full trays, Mai led me straight to a table in the back where a few students were already sitting. Mai sat down and I took a seat across from her. Hi, Mai. How was your break? It was good. I went to Italy and Spain. Dad fell off a ski jet and broke his ankle. It's better now, though. Oh, well, that's nice. I accepted to be introduced, but the girl turned back to her group of friends and mine turned back to me. She... Who's the girl? Okay. Okay, she began to assault her food with a fork and tell me in a practically minute-by-minute account about her fleeting romance last summer with a boy she met on the beach that didn't go further than a few salty kisses. I sat back and let May talk. For the first time since arriving on campus, I felt like I was finally able to breathe. I picked at my Brussels sprouts and studied Mai as she spoke. The more she talked, the more I began to notice small details about her. She had a high songbird voice. She was dynamic, her face twisting this way and that into exaggerated expressions as she spoke. She laughed often. She imitated people in wildly unflattering voices, seemingly unrelated to her actual opinion of them. But mostly notable, she talked. A lot. I didn't find this particularly annoying, as it filled the silence and she hardly ever asked questions that required my full attention. Just as Mai was rounding off a shockingly detailed account of the time she accidentally walked into her friend's older brother in the act of changing, a flash of familiar green caught my eye. I glanced over. Hey, that's him! Huh? Who? I leaned across the table to whisper, just in case he could hear me through the ambient chatter of the lunchroom. The boy I met from the train, that's him. Jared? Yeah. What's with the weird green jacket and the swoopy hair? He just picked up his tray and was walking past us when something seemed to catch his eye. Oh, you. I looked up at him, suddenly realizing he was talking to me. Hana, I met you on the train. How are things settling down for you? Really well. I found my roommate and she's been helping me out. I gestured to Mai, who was thunderstruck. In fact, looking around, everyone was. People stopped eating to turn and stare at Jared and me, my shoulders bunched around my neck. Well, if you ever need any help, I'll be around. 3rd year, right? I nodded. Some of my friends are in that year. Of course, they can't compare to me, but I'll give them the heads up to look out for you. He flashed a dazzling smile, then winked. It's the least I can do for such a cute girl. Well, I'll see you around. I watched a torrent of thoughts raging through my head as he took a seat next to a bunch of guys who were all wearing the same jacket. That's Jared! She tore her eyes away from him and looked at me. He's the most beautiful guy in school! I can't believe he just looked at me. I looked at Mai. Her cheeks were glowing in an incandescent pink. Why do they all wear those jackets? Aren't all guys supposed to wear blue blazers as part of their uniform? No, they're allowed to. They're... You know Jared? Oh, you know Jared? Did I know him? I only talked to him on the train for a few minutes, so not really. We weren't friends or anything. But looking around, Mai and this girl weren't the only ones who were interested. Everybody seemed to be listening in. They seemed so surprised when he talked to me. Maybe a little white lie couldn't hurt. Oh! Not really. I guess so. Oh. She looked me up and down, sniffed, and turned away. Mai leaned towards me. Don't mind Mimi. Oh. Don't mind Mimi. She was just trying to get in with you. Get in with me? Why? Well, you asked me about those guys and their jackets, right? Those are their normal boot club jackets. They're... what? What's Normal Boots Club? It's a club we have at school here. It's like totally exclusive and full of only the coolest students. They get together and play video games. Or something. That one right there is Jean, also known as Jontron. His bird's name is Jacques. Oh, I love Jacques. Jean John is also the president of the drama club here at the school. Next to him is PBG. He and John founded the Normal Boots Club together. PBG is one of the best soccer players on our team. Then there's Gerard. People call him the completionist because he's obsessed with completing things. He has the biggest itty-bitty kitty collection I've ever seen. Next to him is Jared, also known as Pro Jared. He's a model. Then there's Satchbag. Everyone calls him Satch. He's like crazy smart. Those guys over there are Paul, Nick, and Josh. They write a column in the school newspaper called Continue. Paul, the one standing up, is the student council president. And the guy on the end is Shane. He knows more about video games than anyone. Ever. She exhaled a dreamy sigh into her mashed potatoes. So, how would someone, join the Normal Boots Club? You don't choose the boots, Hannah. The boots choose you. What does that even mean? You have to be presented with the boots to be in the club, and they're like super selective. What are the boots? The club has this boot statue. It's like the one on their patches, but it's gold-plated. It's their mascot, I guess. They do this weird initiation ritual with it. Ritual? I hear they fill a room with candles and wear these totally creepy robes during initiation. This year 2 girl said she saw it once and they were all like chanting around the boots. And it sounded like they were talking backwards. But I don't believe her. And even if it's true, I don't care if they're a cult because they're all really hot. Do they have a lot of friends? Yeah, tons of friends. I'd say they're the most popular kids in school. And I mean, everyone in the school totally looks up to them. I bet they could get any girl in school, too. Or boy, for that matter. Hey, are you going to eat your cake? I shook my head and pushed the plastic tray across the table to her. For the remainder of lunch, I listened to Mai talk about Jared through mouthfuls of half-dissolved frosting. Back at the dorm, I sorted through the pile of textbooks the school left for me. My radio was playing a poppy tune, equal parts music to static. Mai fervently scribbled in a notebook at her desk, hunched over it with strikingly poor posture. Hey, Mai? Mm-hmm. She didn't bother to look up. Am I supposed to have a textbook for History 309? She shuffled through the papers on her desk before producing a thick textbook. A demure man in a powdered wig frowned at me from the cover. Yeah, this one. I sighed. I don't have that one. The school must have missed it. Mai shrugged and set the textbook back in her pile. They have a bunch at the library. You can just check out one. Where's the library? Mai rifled through her notebook and wrote something down. She tore the page out and handed me a crudely drawn map. Oh, okay, well, I'll be back in a little bit. It took me at least 25 minutes. 20 minutes to find the library, but by the time I realized I was holding the map upside down, the sun was setting. The library was much larger than I expected. The walls lined from floor to ceiling with books of all sizes on rough wooden shelves. Intimidated, I headed for the front desk. A recognizably green and gray jacket was bent behind the counter. Normal boots. I briefly considered running away. Can I help you? Too late. Yeah. The school forgot to give me my textbooks. I was told I could get it here. Which one is it? The history the history 309 textbook. He stepped from behind the counter and motioned for me to follow. We dodged between the aisles in a comfortable silence. He seemed friendly enough. I should say something. What was his name again? Shane? Gerard? John? No, not John. Satch. Huh? Oh, you work here? Ugh. Of course he worked here. He chuckled. Dimples appeared in his cheeks. Yeah, the librarian assistant. It's my second year and I love it. I get to help people find books that speak to them. His eyes twinkled like a kid's on Christmas. Your book's right down here. I'm writing down the voices that I'm going to give them. He stopped at a row of thick, dusty books. Was this all history? And pulled out the book with the powdered wig man I saw earlier. Thanks! He waved his hand. It was nothing. Do you need help with anything else? I wanted to make a good impression on the Normal Boots Club, but I couldn't come up with anything. No. Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome. The resistant... Oh, I skipped that part. I'm sorry. I resisted the urge to snuggle up to him. We neared the front desk, stepping around a clump of studying students as we passed. One of them shifted. Eh? Something white flew past my face. A thick piece of triangular paper lay at my feet. I bent over and picked it up. It was surprisingly heavy. There was a quarter inside of it. If I was just a hair slower, it would have hit me in the face. The students snickered, and I recognized the boys that made fun of my hair this morning among them. My heart dropped. I scanned my memory for anything I might have done to offend them, but came up with nothing. My hand started to shake. I hid it behind my back, trying to think of some ways to defend myself. Why did you do that? Eh? What do you mean? We were just messing around. Are you suggesting we did it on purpose? I faltered. There was nothing I could say. I was outnumbered. They would twist my words around, no matter how straightforward I was. No, sorry. One of the boys held his hands out for the paper. I inched closer to give it to him, angry at myself for being so complaint. I wish I were... A gentle, warmth closed over my hand and took the paper from me. Satch examined the paper closely. I see what the problem is. Your aim was better if you cut the corners before you folded it. He placed the paper on the table. The boy looked at him in sheer awe. Be careful, though. You almost hit her, and that would have been awful. My hands began to sweat as panic shifted through me, afraid of the response, but... Geez, we're sorry. We'll be careful next time. Yeah, it was an accident. They apologized? Thanks. I appreciate it. He gave them a wild smile and continued off down the aisles. I followed closely behind, my legs weak. Don't tell me they stopped because of him, simply because I was with him? I wanted to thank him, but my heart was pounding so hard I knew my voice would shake. We reached the front counter and he scanned the history book. My lips trembled as I willed myself to say something, anything to thank him. He tilted his head to the side. What books do you like to read? Oh, fiction? He chuckled. I just finished a good book, and I think it'd be right up your alley, if you don't mind me saying so. He reached under the counter, pulled out a thick green book, and passed it to me. A man in black stood in front, hugging a woman in royal robes. It's long, but it's one of my favorites. The Princess Betrothed. I know things can be tough transferring to a new school. If you're ever worried, just read this. It'll transport you 100 miles away in a second. Tears stung my eyes, so I ducked my head. Thank you, Satch. Sorry. For more than just the books. You're welcome. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think I got your name. My name is Hanamitsuno. I'm a transfer student. Well, it's nice to meet you, Hana. Let me know how you like the book. I will. That could have gone better. Well, I'm going to go get something to eat and to drink, so I will be right back, but I will come back with more, okay? Just stay put. This is an amazing game so far. I want to keep going. I'll stop at chapter 2. Okay. This is a really good story. Oy vey. Okay, guys, I'm back. You probably can't hear me right now. But I am back. I have some spaghetti for lunch. Dinner, I mean. Wow. It's a little hot. It's not freezing cold like it was when I took it out of the fridge. Shoot, that's good. I have to take my melatonin. Okay, back to what we were doing. Whew. Okay, that went down smooth. That could have gone better. Not only was Satch impossibly kind, but being around him felt easy, refreshing. Like being doused in the mist of a waterfall. Oh gosh, what was I thinking? My cheeks hot, I left the library. Two surprisingly heavy books under one arm. I settled into bed, eager to get started with my new reading material, but Mai was sitting at her desk, carving a pencil idly into the paper of a notebook. Every few minutes, she released a long, drawn-out sigh as the lead of her pencil whined against the paper. I lowered my book and took the bait. Is something wrong, Mai? She let out another dreary sigh. I hope Jared notices me this year. Does Jared know you like him? Mai whirled around in fine shock. I don't like Jared. If, by the way, I'm taking my microphone and I'm putting it away from me because I'm eating while I'm doing this, so. Okay, let's go. I don't like Jared. Oh. I closed my book and set it aside, deciding to play along. Well, have you at least tried talking to him? No. I mean, I have before. Why don't you try again? She bobbed her head from side to side, considering this like it never crossed her mind before. Yeah, maybe I could do that. Satisfied, I picked my books back up. Have you ever had a boyfriend, Tana? Uh-huh. Me? No, never. Really? Never? Never. I bet you 1,000 yen. I think that's right. 10,000 yen that you meet a totally cute boy here and fall in love by the end of the school year. You're crazy. Wait, that's wrong. You're crazy. I buried my face back in my book, barring Mai from any further discussion. Fall in love by the end of the year. Me? If I were a betting kind of girl, I'd take that bet. Excuse me. I awoke the next morning with what felt like a lizard in my throat. Wai was already up shuffling through her school bag with an indignant grin. The first day of school. Hana, you're finally awake! Her voice sliced through the air like a knife, and I winced. She was definitely a morning person. It's time for the first day of school. Aren't you excited? I can't wait to see what's going to happen. What do you mean? Is something special going to happen today? Something strange always happens on the first day of school, especially to someone like you. She winked. Someone like me? You know what I mean. She smiled and started messing with a pile of papers on her desk. Shaking my head, I got out of bed and pulled my uniform out of my closet. My palms sweat as I held the gold vest and blue jacket. Was it really possible for things to be different here than they were at home? What if the problem wasn't actually the school? I shook the thoughts out of my head and I changed into my uniform. Oh! What is it? You look so cute! Really? Heat crept up my neck. Yes, completely. Your hair matches your uniform so well. You look like a flower blooming straight out of the ground. Thank you. Water strung the back of my eyes, and I turned to start packing my backpack. Why was I getting worked up about something as little as this? I must have gotten less sleep than I thought. Is something wrong? No, nothing's wrong. I'm just happy. How dumb was that? I started crying at the first sign of someone being nice to me. I took a deep breath to steady my nerves. What an oddly menacing laugh. Thud. All the air left my lungs as something like horse hooves slammed against my back. Irk. You'll do just fine. Don't worry. This is gonna be awesome. I stiffly peered over my shoulder. That was you? Huh? Mai stood behind me, her hand raised. Somehow she had the strength of a bodybuilder. Nothing. I was just about to zip my bag up when I spotted the book Setch gave me lying on my nightstand. The Princess Betrothed. He said that if I ever needed to be transported somewhere far away, I could take it with me. It was pretty good so far. Maybe it would be smart to bring it along, just in case I had no one to talk to in between class periods. Would I need it for my first day of class? I'm gonna leave it. No, today would be a great day. I couldn't give it up before I even started. You ready? Was that the wrong choice? Yeah, let's go. Stick with me and you'll be fine. Mai opened the door and together we stepped into the hallway, merging into a steady flow of chittering girls and fruit-flavored perfume. Oh, my. Oh, my. I didn't know we lived on the same floor. No way, really? That's so awesome. Now we'll be able to catch up. Whatever happened between you and I and the river girls shifted as we headed down the stairs. Suddenly I found myself surrounded by a bunch of people I didn't know. Oh wow, what a jerk he turned out to be. Mai's exclamation faded into the buzz of her voices in the air. Oh no. What would I do if I got separated? Anxiously, I searched the crowd of girls for Mai, but I couldn't find her. Everyone was dressed in the same Asagao uniform. It was difficult to tell anyone apart, and being so short really didn't help the situation. As we turned the last corner down the stairwell, I saw a flash of red hair a little ways in front of me. Mai? I reached between two girls and tapped her on her shoulder. Huh? Oh, who are you? The girl's eyes flashed almost like a jolt of electricity shot through them. I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else. She said nothing and turned away before I knew it. I stood outside of Primrose's house, watching the flow of girls disperse across campus. Mai was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't even hear her chirpy voice. Oh, man. I took a deep breath, biting my lip. This wasn't a big deal. I could go to class alone. But I didn't even know where the building was. I reached into my backpack and dragged out my class schedule. Homeroom, 206 Poppy Hall. Which one was Poppy Hall again? Weren't the classrooms on the other side of campus? I picked a direction and began to walk, trying to ignore my rising panic at the thought of arriving late to the first day of school. As a third year, there was no one who knew me. All of the people staring. Hey! You okay? You look a little lost. Someone called out to me and I turned around, almost jumping for joy. When I froze, a Normal Boots jacket. He was part of the Normal Boots Club. I could practically feel my tongue swelling in my mouth. If this was a Normal Boots Club member, I had to make a good impression. He was one of the founders, right? Then he must be Jontron. Yes, I'm new and I don't know where Poppy Hall is. You, a freshman? No problem, my class is in Poppy Hall. I'll walk you there. Really? That would be wonderful, thank you. Was this really happening? He began walking towards a large brick building in an enthusiastic manner, pumping his arms up and down like he was in some kind of show tune. I fell into step behind him. I didn't notice it when Mai pointed him out to me yesterday, but Jontron had big brown eyes and a warm look on his face. Warm-looking face. He was basically a human puppy. I glanced up at him out of the corner of my eye. Eep! A bird! A bird on his shoulder! Birds always make me uncomfortable, sometimes about the ease with which they could poke out someone's eye. Is something wrong? Why'd you stop? No, nothing is wrong. He followed my gaze to the bird on his shoulder. Oh, this is Jack. Isn't he cute? Nice to meet you. It spoke. Yeah. He put his hand on his shoulder. Jacques jumped into his palm. Jacques is a robot bird, see? Hello. Jacques' eyes gleamed dangerous red when he spoke, but nothing else suggested he wasn't a normal bird. A normal bird. In fact, if I hadn't known better, I would have said the red in his wings was painted on. That's amazing. Jacques twitched his head to the side, examining me in return. The more he looked at me, the less afraid I was. What are you looking at? What? Nothing, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Jacques is a little bit sassy. Who are you calling sassy? I'm not the sassy one. I don't forget to feed you. Jacques, that was one time. I don't know how to do the John voice right, but I'm trying. I was alone and starving in the frozen tundra in this empty world, loveless, afraid. Ignore him. I've been bringing him with me to the drama club, and he's taken a little too well to it. I see how it is. Shut me out like I have nothing to add to the conversation. Jacques retook his place on John's shoulder, this time facing away from us as I miffed. He resumed our walk towards Poppy Hall. I'm Jontron, by the way. Call me John. Hannah, nice to meet you. Hannah, that's a cute name. Sorry. Sorry, Jontron. Oh, thank you. So, how long have you had Jacques? Since middle school. We've been together for 4 years now. Ain't that right? I'm sorry. I'm not listening. Yeah, well, I love him to death. I don't know what I'd do without him. It seemed like life would be a lot easier without him. But whose was I to say? We arrived at the brick building. A white sign surrounded by poppies declared it to be, unsurprisingly, Poppy Hall. Which room are you in? Room 206. Seriously? Wait. Seriously? Yes. That's my room. We're in the same class. John laughed and clasped me on the shoulder. Wonderful. I guess I'll be seeing more of you then, right? Alright. Together we entered Poppy Hall. Poppy Hall was lined with fluorescent lights and Asagao blue lockers. The lack of students milled around the hallway indicated that we were a bit late. We ran up the stairs and made it into the classroom just as the bell rang. My heart caught in my throat. Thankfully, the teacher hadn't come yet. Instead, students clumped into tight pods and milled around the classroom, catching up on vacation news. Thank you so much for showing me to class, John. No problem. We'll see you around. We waved and disappeared into the wriggling mass of students. Gotta write his John voice. I glanced around the room looking for an empty seat. Hannah! I think it's Hannah, but I'm gonna say Hannah because it's easier. Was that Jontron? Were you talking to Jontron? Yeah. My eyes widened and I couldn't help feeling a little smug. I realized I didn't know the way to class after you and I got separated, and he offered to walk me. Maya admitted a highly pressurized squeal. Jontron walked you to class? Oh my gosh, you have to tell me everything. She grabbed me by the wrist and pulled me to an empty desk in the back corner of the room, right next to the window. I saved you a seat. I slid and took off my backpack, hooking it on the side of my desk. I was a little bit worried the books inside were too heavy for the bag to handle, but so far it held up well. Sorry we got separated, by the way. It can get a little chaotic sometimes. So tell me what happened. What did he say? What did he smell like? Does he have a peach fuzz? Is it rough? Wait, what? There are very important questions I'm asking. You need to answer them. Was his hair super silky, or did it have, like, the roughness of a dog's coat? Before I could answer, the door in front of the room slid open and a tall woman strolled in. Class went quiet and obediently slid into their seats. My heart beat furiously, blood rushing through my ears. Good morning, class. The teacher's melodious voice swam through the room, calming the buzzing high of the students back from break. My shoulders relaxed and my fear bedded away. I'm your teacher, Shizuka Wakashisa. You may call me Miss Shizuka. Oh God. I'm saving this. Oh, this is day 2. So, but this is chapter 1. Day 2. Oh, she has a diary. My. Well, I think we're gonna stop here because my voice is, like, not doing well. So, we are going to quit the game. So that is the live stream. Well, that was a little bit of Asagao Acedemy. Wow! A lot of dialogue. Fun. But wow. That was fun. Wow. Hold on. Sorry. Wow. Just wow. I will see you next time with Asagao Acedemy. That was wow. Just amazing. I hadn't had that much fun in a while with a game, but I love doing voices, but this is gonna be tough on my throat. I know that. I should have bottles of water ready at all times. And I need to eat dinner. It's 7:28 p.m. It's 7:28 p.m. So I will see you guys in the next video. Sorry, I just did a Markiplier thing there, but yeah, the next Asagao will come soon. But I don't know when, but, you know, just look out for it. Thank you guys for joining me. Bye.